wake me up to another good morning, time to go.
Well, hello and welcome to another edition of Rambling Rides. Lots of great things going on now that we've wrapped up Heartland. I've been able to focus my time on some other things, which has been great. Just kind of getting everything all organized on the farm, getting ready for winter. It's a long, cold winter here, and there is a lot of stuff that has to be done before the snow flies. So, got a ton done this last weekend. We moved my chicken coop, reset everything up because I have different pens in the summer as I do in the winter, and Sean went and got the fork extensions, and we were able to move everything around, and that took the better part of the weekend, but it was great. Now it's all moved and done, so the chickens are good. Now I just have to do the duck pen next, and then the horse pen, and then the cow pen, and get everything all figured out and ready for winter. As you can see, I have a backseat passenger. Those who have been following me on social media probably recognize this sweet face. This is Autumn, and she is, I'm going to put this in quotations, a foster, because I think many of you have already guessed that she's probably not going anywhere. If you watch my last Rambling Rides, I tell the story. It's number 14 if you want to look it up if you haven't seen it. And there's the entire story of how and why she came to be at our ranch. And I brought her and her sister home in a foster situation because I don't believe in just bringing animals home before you consult with your family and make sure that it's the right decision for everybody. So brought the two sisters home because they were in a situation where they needed to find a home. And before we even got back from our trip, Katie Brown, who was driving with me, decided that she was going to take her sister, and so she has a very loving home, and Autumn's fitting in pretty darn well, as you can see right now. She loves truck rides. She comes everywhere with me. As soon as I have the door open, she jumps in. A lot of times I bring both her and Rain, but today I left Rain at home because it's raining. It's very muddy, and she was covered head to toe in mud. So I said, okay, you can stay in the barn until you dry off, and then I might have to bath her before she comes in the house. But anyway, I spent the better part of the morning going through stuff at the store, putting in some new orders. There's always stuff to be ordered, which is great. That means that it's going well and things are selling, so I have to keep reordering, which I love. That's not a bad problem to have. And I'm just gonna stop in right now and pick up some chai tea lattes, imagine that, so I can take them over to my next stop, and I'll tell you more about that in a minute. So give me 1 second for a coffee break. Well, I'm back at you, and what do you know? Autumn has not moved. She's such a good dog. She just goes with the flow, and it's interesting to me because she was basically just a feral dog, and she has settled into pet life pretty darn good. So I'm really happy with how she's settled in and everything else, and she gets along with everybody, like the horses, the cows, the chickens, the ducks, the dogs, cats, whatever it is she meets, she's great with. So that's nice. Speaking of horses, I am currently headed to pick up Finch. Now, a lot of you have been asking how the horses have been doing, specifically Finch and Ranger, because I haven't posted about them much. I sent them both out to boot camp this summer, so that was great because they're young and they needed some training and just to get exposed to new things and be out in the world. So they went to my friend Katie, different Katie than I was referring to with the dog, and I'm just headed to her house now to pick Finch up. Now, Finch is an interesting case. I originally took him off a meat truck that was headed for slaughter. So I guess, in fact, I did rescue him from his fate. And he's been with me 2 years now, and so he's 3, and he really is, I don't know why or what happened to him previously, and I don't like to make excuses for horses like that, but he is very terrified of the world, and anything that's around him, he goes ballistic if a leaf blows. So Katie's been working with him, and what she finally said to me, she said, you know what, I think you need to just take him home, turn him out, let him grow up a little bit, because he's 3 years old right now. And she said, just give him Give him 6 months, give him a year, let his mind mature, let him be out with the other horses, see things, learn things without us putting a lot of pressure on him. And I think that he'll be a lot more receptive to training come next fall. So that's what I'm going to do with him. I'm just going to let him grow up and be a horse. And Ranger, who is a year younger than Finch, he's just 2.5, but he's hilarious and is the opposite of Finch. There is not a thing in this world that could scare him. And it's interesting to me because the two of them kind of grew up in a similar situation, but their before me time was very different. So Ranger was a wild horse. He was born in the wild, but he was orphaned at about 2 weeks of age. His mother passed away, and an organization called WOS, the Wild Horses of Alberta Society, found him. Well, actually a hiker found him, and they came out and took him in. And they contacted me and said, we have this orphan foal. Would you be interested in taking him in? And so I had said to them, for sure, I don't need another horse right now, but I always love to help out in these situations. And I know what it can be like having and raising an orphan foal. I've done it in the past, and you always want to try to make sure that they are not babied and that they don't see humans as their mom, because that can become very dangerous as they get older and bigger. And it's hard not to baby a cute little foal, but I'm pretty good with the tough love. So right from the get-go, I was hands off on Ranger, and he is still the most confident little bugger. And Katie is really, really enjoying working with him. And she's already been on his back, just, light work because he is still young, but nothing faces him. Like, he could walk through a wall of fire and not even bat an eyelash. So I'm curious to see him and how he's coming along, and to pick up Finch. And all the other horses are doing great. I've been able to get out on a few rides lately and take all of them out with different people. I've had some visitors. My dad and stepmom came out not that long ago, and so we went on a ride together. And Autumn's been coming along. She's a great little travel buddy. She just stays along with the horses and seems to really enjoy it. So that is your update for now. I will touch base when I get back in the vehicle and let you know how everything went. Well, I'm back with you. I just was at Katie's house and picked up little Finch, and she was telling me all the things that she's been working with him, and how he's got quite the interesting little mind. And she's just really been working with trust exercises and getting him to understand that not everything in the world is going to attack you. So it was really cool to hear her perspective on him and how she thinks it's probably good if he just grows up a little bit before we start asking too much of him, which is fine because he's just young still. So I'm totally cool with that approach. And she was telling me all about Ranger and how much she has completely fallen in love with Ranger, which is kind of awesome because I wasn't totally sure what to do with him. Reason being is he is a very strong-willed young horse, and he's strong. Being a wild horse, he's built very solid. He just kind of knows how to use his body, and he's very pushy. He's not mean, he's just very pushy and wants to be in your space. And so that's not ideal for everyone, because anyone who's intimidated by horses, or even if they're, they don't have that mindset of, no, like, you can't push me around, you can't be the boss of me, he would take full advantage of that situation. And so Katie's actually asked me if she could adopt him, which I think I'm beaming right now because this is like the absolute perfect situation for this little horse. She said she's already had him out on the trail, and he was amazing. She said for such a young horse, he's taking everything in stride, and she loves his quirky personality. It's funny because she likes horses like that have big personalities, and she is like, I call her the horse therapist because she really understands horses and knows what their wants and needs and all that kind of thing is. And Ranger and I didn't really see eye to eye. He's just, in my mind, he's like this bossy little teenager who just wants to push everybody's buttons, and I'm not into that. But Katie really likes him, so I'm very happy about that. This is honestly, in my mind, the best case scenario for that horse, because he needs someone who's going to challenge him and push him and teach him how to be respectful, but at the same time be kind to him and understand that, you know, he's just young, and he's just wanting to push the buttons so he can push the buttons. You can follow his story, I guess. I don't know if she's going to post anything. I don't want to hold her to it, but I will try to keep you updated on everything that's going on in the farm. And now that I have a little bit more time, it's a little bit easier for me to post. Many of you have stated that you missed my posting during the summer because I wasn't as active. There was just a lot going on, and it's really hard at the end of the day for me to get in the headspace of being like, okay, now I have to think of something to post or take a picture or whatever it might be. So thank you for sticking with me on this journey, and I appreciate all of you. It is such an incredible community, and yeah, thanks for not only inviting me into your living rooms when you watch Heartland, but also sticking with me on this journey off the show as well. Thanks, guys. Take care.